Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, Clement Marcelin declared as the UWP's candidate to challenge the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit for the vacant seat at the next general election. Dominica seeks relief from the WTO in order to place focus on disaster recovery efforts. And the DNA calls for action to stem the migration of nurses as they celebrate Nurses Week. The details of the news coming up.
I've been in the business for over 16 years. I get up in the mornings and I look forward to having the next cruise ship berth on island. When the visitor steps off the ship, the first impression is me. And I believe that I need to put my best foot forward and to ensure that everything I do it to the best of my ability. Based on my recommendation, visitors go to various sites, restaurants, bars, and vendors. I take that responsibility very seriously. I would like that the guest receives the same service that I have provided to that individual or guest. This business is bigger than me. Everybody plays a role. The cleaner who cleans my bus, my mechanic who does my checks, those persons ensure that I provide a quality service to the guest. The tourism dollar doesn't just stop with me. It allows me to pay the bank, visit the supermarket to feed myself and family, and have a drink with friends. My name is Jenna Gist, and tourism is my business.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow. First up in the news, the United Workers' Party's candidate to challenge Prime Minister Skerrit for the vacant seat at the next general election has been declared. Clement Marcelin is a former employee of the Environmental Health Department. He will seek to unseat the Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit, who has remained undefeated as MP since the DLP took office. Marcelin presented his plans and programs for the constituency at Sunday's public meeting.
We will revitalize the economy of the North for more investments in agriculture, agribusiness, tourism, renewable energy technologies, indigenous medicine, and the likes. We will attract similar investments, such as Ross University, so that the spillover will create more markets and employment for people within the constituency. Development cannot occur in isolation. It must be integrated and it must be linked. The constituency will see development in infrastructure and the introduction of technical vocational programs for the employment of the young men in the construction sector and in the automobile industry. We will invest in technology that allow farmers to be more competitive. This will include greenhouse systems, hydroponics, and aquaculture. The United Workers' Party will rise to meet the challenge of this time. We will rise to meet the challenge of this time, and we know how to do this.
Some of Marcelin's plans are specific to Penville, where he is from.
Specifically to Penville, my plans are to construct a brand new sporting facility in Savannah, to nurture the talents of the youth within our community, to compete nationally and internationally. We all know that under adverse conditions, our sportsmen and women have excelled. However, my most urgent priority is to complete the Savan irrigation project, which have been lying waste for more than 19 years. Now, the introduction of an irrigation and greenhouse system will increase the production of exotic vegetables and ornamental plants. But however, it is imperative that we implement a farmer's insurance and pension scheme as a component of any agricultural development program in Pennville.
The Dominican Labour Party is nearing the end of its fourth term in office. During that time, Prime Minister Skerrit has remained undefeated as parliamentary representative for the Viecas constituency. Meantime, UWP leader Lennox Linton says he is impressed with the team assembled to challenge the present administration at the next general election. Mr. Linton was addressing the declaration of Clement Marsley in Pennville on Sunday. That event followed that of Davis George in Paybush and Rosanna Emmanuel in Petite Savanne earlier in the week.
And not one of the candidates being paid to step up and to step down could give the people of Dominica anything close to what Rosanna Emmanuel delivered in Bellevue-Chapelle last night, what Davis George delivered in Calabishi-Flat a few days ago on Thursday night, and what Clement Marsley just delivered here tonight. None of them are capable of that, but they're being paid to step up and to step down. And for no money, for love of country. We have this wonderful team of people that are stepping forward to serve Dominica. And I cannot tell you enough how much that makes me happy.
Linton says his party has secured an excellent candidate for Viecas constituency and is very impressed with him.
I listened tonight and I was inspired. I was inspired by a young man who tells us in a very big way, the future of this country is bright. The future of leadership and governance in Dominica is bright because of him and because of those who are standing with him to look about the affairs of the country. My mother always told me, it is the best of us that must take care of the rest of us. The best of us must take care of the rest of us. And the reason there is such excitement about this movement for real change in Dominica is simply because the people recognize this is an assembly of the best that is committing itself to ensure that the rest are properly taken care of.
Former press secretary under the Dominica Labour Party, Sean Douglas, says the current administration has performed poorly in a number of key areas after close to 20 years in office. Douglas was among speakers at the declaration of UWP candidate for Viecas Clement Marsley in Pennville on Sunday. On the issue of an international airport, Douglas believes this government has dropped the ball.
In 2000, in the manifesto of the Labour Party, we promised to build an international airport. 2005, we promised again. 2009, we promised again. 2014, we promised again. This party is coming to us in 2019, 20 years later, and still saying that they're going to build an international airport. Do you believe them, brothers and sisters? Do you believe them? 20 years you've had, I don't want to know what you plan to do, what you would like to do. What I want to know, after 20 long years, 4 terms, what have you done? What have you done? Brothers and sisters, after 20 years, we don't have a proper airport in this country. 20 years. Now we're hearing about Americans doing feasibility studies. We're hearing about the World Bank might help us to do studies. We're hearing about that money is available to buy land from landowners. 20 years ago, brothers and sisters, the United Workers' Party paid the Lavilles $16 million for land to build the airport. So there's no need to go and look for no more new land. The land has been bought and available for 20 years, and on the airport at least we know that this government has failed.
Douglas is of the view that government has also failed in the area of geothermal exploration.
In 2002, Pierre Charles, the then Prime Minister, I was Press Secretary, went to South Africa. He went to a summit, the World Summit on Sustainable Development in South Africa. At that summit, he pledged in 2002 that by 2010, Dominica will be all renewable by 2010. Between hydro, geothermal, and wind, Dominica will be all renewable energy. We are now in 2019, and the government is telling me that they still, after spending between 80 to 90 million dollars, that they still hope to build a geothermal plant. And it's not even a plant that can supply all our energy needs. It's a 7 megawatt plant. It's not even a plant that can export geothermal energy to our neighbors in Martinique and Guadeloupe. A small plant, after 20 years on geothermal energy, they have failed.
In other news now, the Dominican Nurses Association is reiterating the call for drastic action to be taken to reduce nursing migration. Andrea Louis reports.
President of the DNA, Rosie Felix, was speaking on the heels of International Nurses Day, which is observed on 12th May. International Nurses Day also starts off International Nurses Week, which will be celebrated through a number of activities over the next few days. Felix says the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, has also added its voice to the call for regional governments to put measures in place to curb the trend of nursing migration.
On the eve of International Nurses Week, the Pan American Health Organization launched its strategic directions for nursing in the region of the Americas and called on countries, and I quote, address the migration of nursing personnel, end of quote, among other nursing issues. PAHO considers it necessary to invest in human resource retention strategies, particularly in low-income countries and small island developing states. This news is a reinforcement of the voice of the Dominican Nurses Association, which have been repeated multiple times over the last 12 years.
Felix urged the government to take the required steps to reduce the incidence of nursing migration.
On the occasion of Nurses Week, we make a conscious call on the government to rethink its priorities and invest in nurses and their workplaces. Create positive practice environments that nurses and by extension all healthcare workers will love. And if they must leave, it won't be for lack of a positive practice environment.
The theme for International Nurses Day was Nurses, a Voice to Lead, Health for All. Andrea Louis, Channel 5 News.
You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more news after this.
Si ou ni maladie HIV et bien maladie sexuelle, si ou pas protéger corps lors qu'on est sexe avec plusieurs monde, ça kay mette la vie ou en gros danger. Ou ka expose tout partenaire au poison et que tant qu'il ka vini avec maladie. Servi yon condom chaque fois ou qu'on est sexe. Changer qui est important pour découvrir maladie à bonheur ou ça vivre en bonne santé même si ou ni maladie HIV. Pour responsabilité, protéger corps et puis les autres. Examiner corps. Aider du bout si même maladie HIV et l'autre maladie sexuelle.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow. Director of Trade Martin Walter has addressed the WTO in Geneva, Switzerland at a symposium on trade and natural disasters. Here again is Andrea Louis with more.
Mr. Walter spoke on the topic, Impacts of Natural Disasters on Trade, Dominica post-Hurricane Maria. In his remarks, he highlighted the impact of Hurricane Maria on Dominica's GDP. But he also emphasized Dominica's commitment to becoming the first climate-resilient country in the world. He outlined a number of initiatives which government is currently engaged in terms of recovery and rebuilding with a view to fostering disaster risk reduction. Walter made several recommendations to the WTO to assist small developing states like Dominica to boost their resilience and respond to natural disasters. He called on the WTO membership to consider granting Dominica exemption from certain rules and suspending certain WTO obligations, which he believes will assist in recovery efforts, allowing certain types of prohibited subsidies to be given to relevant sectors and to apply variable tariffs on imports to sectors dislocated by natural disasters. During his time in Geneva, Mr. Walter also participated in sessions of the WTO General Council, including one session addressed by the United Nations Secretary General.
Prime Minister Skerrit has told a Mother's Day gathering in Roseau on Sunday that his administration would be taking action to address their housing needs. Mr. Skerrit says housing remains a challenge for most families in Dominica and government is committed to building 5,000 homes, some of them in the city and neighboring communities.
And in the next 2 weeks, we will sign an additional set of contracts to build homes in Roseau North. We'll build homes in the city of Roseau. We'll also build homes in Roseau South to help alleviate the housing challenge which we have in the city of Roseau, and of course in Trafalgar as well, in the Roseau Valley. Because many of you, I know by your faces, and some of you, I've met you, you're renting, and you pay very large sums every month to rent. You have no access to land to build your own homes, and sometimes at your age, you're unable to contract a loan at the bank. And this is why the government has made a concerted effort to build homes, as many as possible, to ensure that we can provide for families.
The Prime Minister reminded the mothers that they were the foundation of the nation and the hardest working people in the country.
Many of you work hard to care for your children and to try to bring your children in the right way. And this is why we always look to you as a government, in terms of mothers, in guiding us on some of the programs and projects which we have to institute in the Dominica. So for example, the school transfer grant is to support mothers to take care of their children and get them to secondary school. The school transportation program, helping children with their uniforms and books. Because we know how hard so many of you work to ensure that your children can have access to these things.
The Prime Minister assured the mothers that government would do all it can to make life better for them. And the UWP candidate for Roseau Central, Glenroy Coffey, presided over his second Mother's Day luncheon on Sunday. Coffey told Channel 5 News events like the Mother's Day lunch present an opportunity for much-needed networking.
And we are very proud for all the mothers who have turned out. And, it's good as a community, a thriving community, to at least, keep people together. It's good to socialize people. It's good to share with each other. And that's what we bring in Roseau Central. Love, kindness, good heart, thanksgiving. That's the kind of, stewardship that we actually drive to each other. And, everyone is a steward in his own right, but particularly our mothers, they have shown, to be serious, to be disciplined, to be loving, to be sharing, to be kind. And that is the kind of, leadership that we want to see in our communities. And we want to see it not only in Roseau Central, but we'd like to see that kind of environment, that kind of atmosphere, that kind of spirit of thanksgiving. We'd like to see it, transcend into the other communities so that we can have a love in Dominica. Dominica is too small to be so divided.
Coffey says it's important to demonstrate that regardless of party affiliation, in the end we are all one. As is done every year, there was also a Mother's Day function at the Goodwill Parish Hall.
Here are some tips to reduce mosquito presence in and around your home. Keep water storage containers properly covered. Remove containers that can collect water from your surroundings. Keep garbage bins tightly covered. Pick up your litter and remove all tires from your yard. Keep gutters free of leaves and twigs to prevent stagnant water. Prevent Zika, dengue, and chikungunya. Fight the bite. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
This message is supported by Flow. To end the news, a look again at the headlines. Clement Marsley declared as the UWP candidate to challenge the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit for the vacant seat at the next general election. Dominica seeks relief from the WTO in order to place focus on disaster recovery efforts. And the DNA calls for action to stem the migration of nurses as they celebrate Nurses Week. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You may access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.